The power of movies on television, often referred to as the big picture, has impacted how we consume entertainment, making it an essential part of our daily lives. Not only that, the synergy of movie and TV has also proven to be lucrative for brands who want to reach India at large and make an impact in their daily lives. In a series of chat with marketers and media veterans, we discuss all things related to marketing, media, and especially movies. I'm your host, Kalpana Ravi, Associate Editor, IndianTelevision.com. And my guest today is Shashank Srivastava, Senior Executive Officer, Marketing and Sales, Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Good evening, Shashank. How are you
Good
today?
evening. Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Today we have with us an established professional who doesn't need an introduction, but we'd like to get to know you a little better. So let's start with your early life, about how you grew up and what has been your experience.
I come from my hometown is Bhopal, and I did my initial schooling there. Then I did my engineering. I was always out of Bhopal after that. I did engineering. I did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, post which I joined Maruti Suzuki. And that was a long time back, just out of college. And this is actually 33 years I have had in this industry. And people ask me this question as to why this long innings in Maruti Suzuki? So my clear answer is that this is one industry which I really love. Cars have always been my passion, starting from really my school days. I therefore wanted to join an organization which was in this industry. Maruti Suzuki, of course, is a leading organization for a very long time. And that's how I came into Maruti Suzuki, and it gave me a lot of good experiences across different areas of work. And that's how I kept on with Maruti Suzuki. And I'm glad because we did contribute a lot to the industry. And I feel that I have also been a part of that contribution to the Indian economy.
Sir, during your college days, has academics been your forte, or you were into a lot of extracurricular activities? Like you said, you loved cars. So what has been the connection over there now?
Yeah, actually, the car love started. In fact, I don't know whether I will admit it here, but I started driving a car when I was only in the 7th standard, and that happened because. Yes, I'll tell you how. So my father used to, we used to have an ambassador car, and even before that, a Morris. And I was asked to, in those days, cars had these radiators. We have to fill the water, to cool the engine down. And I was given the task of cleaning the car every morning and putting that water on the radiator. So once in a while, I started the car as well, and started driving a little bit, just about 10 meters or 5-10 meters. And slowly, as always happens with boys of that age, they take a little bit of risk, and I started driving around. And of course, I am not sure whether my father ever knew about this, but my mother clearly knew that about activity of mine. I'm not sure whether she told this to the father because he didn't say anything, so I assume he didn't know. And that's how I started driving the car and started getting to have the feel of the car. And I really liked it, and that's how I got into this passion for cars, and that has continued throughout.
What made you choose marketing, and what was that drove you towards wanting to be a marketing person in an automobile sector?
Yeah, so actually it's basically from a consumer perspective, and I thought as a consumer what a car should be, what product it should be, what it should mean to a consumer. So I got interested from the technicalities of the car into the mind of the consumer of the car. And that is how I started thinking about the products and especially automobile from a consumer perspective. And for that, obviously, during my course, my MBA at IIM Ahmedabad, I mastered in there was a subject I had to choose to specialize in, and I chose marketing, and it gave a very structured sort of knowledge, a very structured approach to the entire consumer behavior, consumer mind, and how companies should make products and how to market them. And that is how I chose marketing.
Sir, you are a veteran in this industry. Can you share some highlights from your journey so far?
Oh, so there are many. Actually, starting early 90s, you had a very high tax structure. The penetration of cars was just around two cars per thousand people. Today it is 32. When I joined Maruti Suzuki, we had two other car manufacturers in the industry. The total sale was about 50,000 per annum. Today we are selling 50,000 maybe in the industry. We are selling almost 40 lakh this year. So from about 50,000 to 40 lakh has been a great. I have seen those changes happening in the last 30 years, not only in terms of volumes, which I just mentioned, also in terms of the different segments which emerged. Earlier, the Maruti 800 was being used by everybody. The bureaucrat, the businessman, the family guy, the young boys and girls. But today you see a lot of segmentation. So you have family cars like the Ertiga, the MPVs. Then you have the SUVs, which were earlier, more rough sort of thing. The technology has changed immensely. So while volumes have changed, segments have changed, consumers themselves have changed. So you see a lot of digitalization in the industry today, which means the consumer buying process itself has changed. The type of buyer also has changed. The income level of the buyers have changed. So in that sense, there has been a complete change from what it was 30 years back. Each of these changes have been in highlight. So when, for example, the new Swift came in, it started a new segment which people thought would never exist, but it did. Then we had the Esteem, the sedan. It was also a segment which suddenly came in, and therefore each of these moments are like highlights of the last 30 years, and I have been very lucky to be a witness to almost all of them.
Okay, and what have been some of the most memorable campaigns you've worked?
Oh yes, so one good thing about this large experience is also that I have been part of most of the memorable campaigns actually, because Maruti is a 40-year-old company. I have worked 33 years out of those. In a sense, the theme of those campaigns also defines how the consumer also have been changing. So initially we had this campaign, if you remember, there was a campaign about fuel efficiency, which was petrol, not the kitna deti hai, but the petrol khatam hi nahi honda. There was one Sardar Ji campaign. It became a rage because it really defined in a very nice way how fuel efficiency is so dear to consumers. And those times consumers were obviously the first criteria for car purchase was the running cost, and therefore the second was the campaign on the network, which was about a Kancha ad where the guy goes up to Ladakh somewhere and he says, is there a hotel? There's no hotel. Then say, is there a Maruti Suzuki service station? And they say, yes, there is. So even in remote areas, and that was a great campaign. Kitna Deti Hai, again on fuel efficiency, was a very good campaign, very memorable. And of course, some really good campaigns on the products as well, like the Alto campaign, the new Alto campaign. We had a Wagoner Blue-Eyed Boy campaign, and so on and so forth. So there is one other campaign, which is the corporate campaign, which was about how Maruti Suzuki cars are integral to Indian consumers. And it was a campaign it had a lot of element of brand being ubiquitous. I mean, it was everywhere. So that was another campaign which I really loved, and the consumers loved them too. And it became a talking point in the advertising world as well. So some of these campaigns are really memorable. Even after 20, 25 years, when I think about them, they really it really lifts my spirits because I've been part of them.
Especially the Sardar wala film is still very, very memorable. Kitni deti
Yes,
hai,
yes,
kitna
yes,
deta hai is a very, very
yes.
memorable film actually. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Shashank, India's country is crazy about Bollywood. This year, we've seen record-breaking box office numbers with Pathan, Gadar 2, Jawan, and most recently Rajnikant's blockbuster Jailer, which did over 600 crores in the year worldwide box office collection. Um, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, so movies really Indian audience and therefore Indian consumer, I suppose. Um they're really big movie fans. And if you see this year, some of the movies have really done well in the theaters. Like movies like Pathan, as you mentioned, Gadar, Jawan, Kantara. That's down south, KGF, RRR. They have all done businesses in excess of 500 crores. So it's encouraging not only for the film industry, but also if you look at it from an advertiser point of view, really very encouraging. And in fact, when a movie does well at the theater, you also have a high anticipation in the OTT and television as well, because you will have a world TV premiere of these blockbusters as well. And they tend to garner a lot of buzz because of them doing well at the theater. And some of the movies like Pathan or, for example, KGF or Kantara or RRR, they have delivered extremely good numbers on television also. So great reach and great TVR ratings. Obviously, in a media strategy, we have tried to leverage these movies for our brands. And going forward, I think we will continue to do that. One point about this is obviously with the evolution of the OTT, there are a lot of content which are now available to consumers. So of course he's spoiled for choice in that sense, but even OTT premieres are big, and hence for the advertisers, I think we need to analyze the ROI very diligently and invest on both TV and OTT to get the best ROI. And that's what Maruti Suzuki has been doing.
Fundamentally, India still watches movies on television with their families, and lot of these big ticket blockbuster premieres on television during the festive season. In your experience of associating with world TV premieres of big blockbusters, what value and impact does it offer your brands?
Well, of course, immense value, because it is about memory structure, as they say. It is not just about one advertisement or a FCT that you put on. Of course, if you look at marketing as an investment, not as an expense, then what it does is it builds a longer-term brand value. And these brand values comes from these memory structures. Like, as you mentioned, watching a movie together with the family, so that becomes there is a brand conversation which happen because of the family watching together. You of course have other memory structures like logo, for example, or packaging design, or for example the visual treatment of the product itself. If you look at our Nexta product, for example, the exterior is language is the design language is different. So there is also a brand communication through the design language. We call it crafted futurism. So therefore, I think these memory structures are extremely powerful, very valuable for any brand. And what it does it probably requires a small investment to keep the brands on top of the mind, because the investments have grown over time, and that's how those memory structures have evolved. These are the things which have a greater cultural relevance, and therefore I think what brands that see the advantage in this approach, they will succeed, and their ROI will grow. And we definitely we do at Maruti Suzuki feel that these occasions, such as the ones that you mentioned, are really great opportunities for marketers.
When you look at current media spectrum of TV and digital, What do you think contributes a winning mix for a marketer? And your take on the overall effectiveness of TV plus digital advertising?
Yeah, so I think it is, and I'm glad that you say a mix. What is the ideal mix? Rather than there's a lot of people who ask this question, which is better? Is it TV or is it digital? Because obviously you have to strike a right balance between television and digital. Find out the best way to reach the TG. For example, television is great because for automobile, if you are really wanting to create an imagery, so the stickiness of the imagery is good on television because you can have a large video format there, and that's essential, especially when you are launching a product. And also the television medium today in India has got a larger reach. So if you are trying to build a quick reach, and if you are wanting to create an imagery for brand positioning initially, television is a great medium. However, in the funnel, if you look at the marketing funnel, as you go down for consideration and the actual conversion, then you need to have a more personalized message for consumers. There, digital becomes more accurate, better, and actually less wasteful. And therefore, the digital platforms obviously have got unparalleled, I would say, targeting capabilities, because it allows marketers to reach specific audience segments and send personalized messages, and that's great for converting to an actual sale. And therefore, you need to have a mix of both television as well as digital. But of course, it depends, as I said, on the product category. A product category such as car, imagery is very important, because it's the category is such, let's say it's different from a finance product, for example. It could be. It also depends on the specific target audience. If you're there looking at really young consumers with who consume a lot of media on the digital sphere, obviously you have to spend more money on digital. It also depends on your campaign objective, or even on the creative integration, the creative which is there. And if you're looking at performance measurement, obviously that's also one important thing, because you can have a better measurement on the digital thing. It also depends on budget constraints. So I would say the media effectiveness and the mix is determined, the reach and the engagement. If you are wanting reach, TV definitely provides that broader reach and mass appeal. Digital channels offer targeted engagements, personalized interactions. And if you look at brand building, obviously TV excels in the brand building and emotional storytelling. Digital platforms, they drive performance marketing and maybe measurable results. So a synergistic effect is what we are looking at. So therefore, a mix is good. In our case, the mix currently is about 30. It's like 30% digital. It's television is about 40, and the rest is print, radio, OH, and cinema.
Thank you so much for taking time for me. And thank you, Shashank. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And this was like a masterclass for me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalpana.